Shadow Seer, what's up? Okay, just I guess to make this make sense for when I edit the VOD, if I get around to it, we're gonna start with the intro. Okay, this is Vagrus, the Riven Realms. I've played this game before, but it was a blind playthrough. Since then, I've put a couple hours into it, and I've really come to enjoy the game. We're going to play the intro. I'm not going to be playing the tutorial. But we're going to start with the intro so you get a feel for the story in case you don't know what the game's about. It is a heavy reader. I'm going to be summarizing, paraphrasing a lot of the descriptions depending on how awesome or drawn out they are. Anyways, bear with me, I'm a little sick. But other than that, let's get into it. So, play intro. Comitatus, an armed traveling company. It usually carries cargo and passengers across the wastelands of the continent. It can get involved in a variety of jobs, ranging from trading to mercenary work. Vagrus, a venturer, a vagabond, a captain, the leader of a comitatus.
The River Realms, they call it. What a fine poetic name for something as rotten and twisted as our land has become. It was not always so. Long ago, the old empire, the noblest and most enduring society created by humankind, spanned almost the entire continent of Zerine, the cradle of man. But after several millennia of progress and incomparable achievements, inevitably, the empire began to fall into stagnation and decadence. Desperately holding on to their privileges and resisting change while trying to avert the collapse of the realm, the emperor and his theocracy took to measures that were worthy of true despots in cruelty. Subjugating weaker realms, enslaving whole nations, strip mining foreign resources, oppressing imperial citizens, war on several fronts, genocide. Eventually, the gods could no longer tolerate such horrors wrought in their name. Foretold by an abundance of divine omens, they descended upon the empire to right its wrongs. Thus, in a chain of dreadful events,
I bet you that guy
known as the Calamity,
has a hard time picking things up.
in a matter of days. The gods then finally saw what they had done in their anger and confusion. It is said that so much grief and shame filled them that they were broken and they left this reality, never to return. The continent and its inhabitants seemed dead, but at length survivors began to crawl out of their hiding holes and faced a land that no longer welcomed them. Arcane anomalies, the fallout of the Calamity, now riddled the continent, and people realized that they had to share their new home with changed and twisted creatures. Terrible beings entered through the cracks in the tapestry of reality and rose to rule over the natives. In time, these new powers rebuilt the fallen empire in their own image, and the River Realms, now godless and vengeful, reincarnated from the ashes. The inhabitants of the land, such as I, now eke out a living under the crushing rule of the new empire. The continent itself constantly resists our every attempt at building a cozy home for ourselves. As travel is dangerous, many ventures specialize in transferring cargo and passengers over bleak and deadly leagues of land. Others try to take everything of value from said travelers, or attempt to find buried treasures among the ruins of the old empire. The leaders of the endeavors are, some say, the bravest men and women of the river realms. Such a leader is called a Vagrus.
All right. So we're just going to start a new game. Wasteland mode. This is the way Vagrus was intended to be played by the developers. Cruel, harsh, unforgiving. Won't pull any punches. Steep difficulty curve. So we're going to try to not save scum, but we'll see. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. From Ozymandias by Percy. Not even going to try. Shelley, 1818.
Ah, yes. A Vagrus. What a profession. Daring and savvy. Always watching the horizon. Always looking for an opportunity.
So this is your
And of
opportunity to
course,
play the tutorial.
for what is best.
We're not
for
going to
his
do that.
comitatus,
We're diving
eh?
right in.
And you are a Vagrus
I've put in
too,
a couple hours,
are you not?
and I've really taken a
Many
shine
of
to
your
this
kind
game.
have I
I
seen
think I've
in
learned
my
a few
long
valuable
life as a
lessons, but we'll
vagabond.
see. We'll see how well.
Care to listen to a story about your exquisite
I
occupation,
hang on to
good
those.
master?
Okay, we don't
It
want
is
any
a tale
ghost
of
stories,
woe
old
and
timer.
terror, but it is also a tale that is true.
And it looks like
Fair
Jafar
enough,
from the
good
beginning
master.
of Aladdin.
Fair enough. You don't want to hear tales of trusts betrayed and of bad decisions?
It makes sense to me,
With you also being a Vagrus and all that. Tell me, have you been long at it? And where do you come from? It is not often that I can talk to one of your kind.
Create your Vagrus. Okay. Human Imperials are industrious, generally cultured people, so, you know, Roman-esque. Tarkian. Tark has long been a problematic, yet prosperous province of the Empire. Blah, blah, blah. Dusky skin and dark hair. These guys. It doesn't even say. Dark skinned, dark haired Kalani. Dark haired and fair skinned with blue or green eyes. Interesting. Interesting. Let's read about these guys for a sec. I think I'll play them. What do they get for bonuses here? What are we talking about? Arcane lore. Small energy crystal gear. I have no idea what that means. Strong-minded. Wow, let's look at some bonuses. We're playing to win. Okay. Let's... little boring, I know, but let's go with Human Imperial. All of these house rep points are going to help when we get trading. Okay. So, Human Imperial. Select my background. 1 survival perk, 1 resourcefulness. Scholar, Ranger, Slaver. 1 intimidation, plus 3 slaves, plus 55 House Darius reputation, and 1 slave cage. That does not sound like a terrible idea. I do like the adventurer, survival perk, resourcefulness, but I think we try slaver, maybe. No, okay. I want to go veteran. Or adventure. Adventure. And select your calling. Trader, mercenary, explorer. We're going to start with trader. These things happen by default, right? Explorer happens because it's the nature of the game is travel. And mercenary because at some point you think you're strong enough to take on contracts to actually go fighting. And fighting in this game is really cool. Reminds me of Darkest Dungeon. So we're going to go trader. And my ambition, we're just going to go free play, no victory condition. But we can change our ambition later through an option in the story. So I really want to run this out. Allocate perks using your starting insight. Our resourcefulness is high, our authority is low. I'm going to up authority. We still have 7 insight. And Let's see what these do. Prepare, resourceless, exploit. Contracts and settlements. You know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to do charismatic. We're going to do perceptive, savvy, charismatic again. And down here, I think we're going to go to persuasion. Everything, we're kind of going all in on the trader aspect for this run. Trader. Enter your name. Can we generate one? Flavius Rabirus. Primus Clavo. Tullius Numerius. That would have fit, maybe. Quintus Clavo. Tullius Porcius. Maybe should we keep it with his character type? Like, or should we take a different name? Maybe we can come up with a little story behind that. No, we'll keep it. Tertius Caduceus. I don't know why I found that funny. Marcus Farvo. Marcus Farva. I'll take a large Farva.
Curious, curious. I am humbled to have made your acquaintance.
May the
good
gods
master.
guard your sleep.
I'm sure that many great adventures await you on your journeys. It was an honor talking to you, good master. But these old bones are aching, and I must rest now. Oh, yes.
Sleep slowly but steadily begins to overwhelm you. Is it the late hour, the exhausting journey, or the mesmerizing voice of the old man? You faintly recall stumbling to your tent and crawling inside. Then it is only darkness. Okay. All right. So, again, I'm going to read this quickly with my eyes. This is kind of a preface to all this. I can read way faster just staring at it, and then I'm gonna give you the highlights, unless it's something really intriguing, or, you know, something extremely artistic that I like really grabs your eye. So, morning creeps up quietly on the arid wasteland. So your crew is groggy after an early start. The camp is kind of shambly. People are still huddled around dying fires. You know the jagged line, the way station of Kernak. So Kernak way station awaits. You hope to rest there and find much needed work. This was the reason you took the Comitatus north. There's new opportunities. You are indeed quite new to this wandering business. The crew elected you to take her place because she trusted your abilities. Morning, Vagrus, one of the guards walks up to you. The old man talked to you last night. He's about to leave. He wanted to say goodbye before he does. You nod and head to the campfires. You find the old storyteller. Oh yeah, we have to talk to the old guy again. Thank you for coming. I will not go to Torzag's. He had no coin. He traded us stories. The old man turns to you and smiles innocently. I may be able to repay you more properly by giving you some advice. If you don't mind me saying, you're only starting your venture as a Vagrus. Perhaps you could use such wisdom. We'll listen to the advice. First off, there's a lot of rumors going around in a city as great as Grim Torzag, but even in smaller settlements too. So he's telling us here to listen for rumors. And fresh news is a valuable commodity. So if we get news via rumors in towns and take news to other towns, news is something you can sell in this game. You can just sell information, which is awesome. And then he recommends finding work as soon as possible from trading houses. So you can pick up contracts, and that's going to be our bread and butter for a little while we try and get our comitatus kind of built up. One of the things that destroyed me early on in trying to learn this game was trying to expand too quickly, and not just and trying to explore too quickly. So we're gonna avoid that. It's gonna be kind of a slow and steady playthrough. One of the other things that's awesome if you play this game is you can click on the artwork and it gives you a big zoomed in. I mean, the moving camera on the smaller artwork is pretty solid. But, you know, just being able to click on this and admire this mid-game is sweet. Before setting out, it's best to decide what your destination will be and plan accordingly. Don't get killed or starve. And he's telling us that he has a friend in the town we're headed to. Braxius, strange fellow. He runs a shop. He'll buy trinkets off you that you don't need, and he may sell you something useful. Ask him where we can find Braxius. You thank him and wish him well. But before that, it's time to set out. Torzag's shelter is waiting. But before that, it would behoove you to visit Karnak Way Station. Only about a day's travel to the north, you could obtain much needed supplies and news. Maybe even find work. Who knows? Okay, so welcome finally to the game itself. If you've never seen Vagrus, or you're catching this video later and you're interested in trying it, this will be kind of my grand explanation, and then we'll focus on gameplay and story. So one of the first things, like, everything here is kind of interactive, kind of clickable. It's I don't know why, but it really drags me back to old school PC games, you know, the $2 hard disk games with much better storytelling, much better graphics and gameplay and quality of life features and, you know, active economy. But it gives me that real sense of joy and nostalgia that I got while playing old, kind of, even those click-through mystery games and stuff like that. So anywho, we have our map up in the top right. You can zoom out of this. Your map will begin to fill itself out as you discover things. But there's a few things that it seems that everybody knows. The location of what I'm going to call capital cities, but I just think they're large cities. But there's a lot of stuff that we're not going to see in between these just yet until we find them or learn of them. For instance, where are we here? Right here in this mountain pass, you know, there's a fortress here in this mountain pass. We're not going to be able to find that until we actually go there or we hear news of it. So there's the map. You can sort it. You can do everything you want. Right here, this is price history. So this is going to be determined entirely by the news we get and the cities we visit. And this is going to be what we use for determining where we're going to buy and sell stuff. This, and we're also going to make notes for every town we stop at and hear rumors at and learn about what's valuable and what's not. But they have a feature for that built right into the game. I can click on Karnak Way Station, you know, from the map, I think. Well, once we get there, I guess. We can click on Torzag's shelter, for instance, and add notes to Torzag's shelter. So I can just slap in new entries here. So if I click on a town, in case I forget what I was trading there, I can just double check my little note, and then we're gonna... So the map's awesome. Map's awesome. And price history, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. You go to a place, it tells you what things cost when you were last there and gives you the date. Other than that, you've got kind of a wiki down here, your codex that you fill out as you move along, I think. It's also got a lot of in-game history. Maybe as the stream goes on, later streams of this game, we'll get into a bit of the... I'll choose a page or two to read each time to really fill out the game for anybody that's interested. Other than that, calendar, top right, and all of your kind of relevant statistics on the top left. Your movement, your march movement, which is movement that exceeds your actual movement, but will cost you in ways that we'll talk about later as we encounter them. And you can reallocate at the cost of things like resourcefulness and etc. etc. You can use abilities to help you maneuver your way across the wasteland. We've got our rested status, our morale. Now, compliance and obedience only applies to slaves. So we also have our slave kind of obedience counter. I may toy with the idea of getting rid of slaves altogether and relying on paid workers and fighters, but early on, I think they're a requirement. And it would be a slow grind without slaves in your comitatus and your caravan. Nutrition, pretty self-explanatory, right? All this stuff. If you're you get below a certain threshold for, you know, rested and fed, you're going to lose movement speeds. People are going to become less happy. Your slaves are going to become less compliant. On and on it goes. Then it's got your combat strength and your defensive power. And that only applies to if you get into combat encounters. Okay. Other than that, we'll go over any other tabs as they appear, but we're focusing on gameplay pretty well from here on. If you're hanging out or you're catching this video later and you note something that could be improved about the audio, even if it's something as simple as like, hey, the mic's too close, I would appreciate it very much. So we're going to head to Karnak Way Station. That's our first stop. We have the movement. We have 8. It only requires 6. We're going to enter. The Comitatus descends into the Great Basin that shelters Karnak Way Station from the worst of the jagged wastes, dust, and rock storms. Even at this distance from the walled compound, you can see that the outpost is vastly overcrowded. Dozens of comitati and literally hundreds of travelers swarm the confines of Karnak Station, which is now surrounded by makeshift camps and improvised mancios. What is going on here? So this is the kind of stuff I'm going to read, these awesome descriptors of the cities and maybe the situation. But if we're being just belt-fed information, that's the stuff I'm going to paraphrase. Gruff-looking mercenaries walk out to meet you. The first one to speak is tall and lean, a tainted fellow with a barbed spear. Maybe we'll learn what tainted people are later. I'm not too clear on it. Gotta say, you folk just keep popping up like wraiths around a rotten corpse. He sighs heavily. Alright, move your ass over there and try to settle in without a fuss. Stone walls northwest of the city. Ask what's up with his attitude? We're just gonna comply. We're not here to ruffle feathers just yet. Nod to the mercenaries and lead the comitatus to the designated spot. The crew strikes camp and everyone is settled in after a quarter of an hour. Time to explore. Okay, we already read we'll read the Karnak Way Station, sheltered in an arid basin, surrounded by stone walls and guarded by grim mercenaries. Karnak Station provides all the illusion of safety most travelers crave. Yet a quick glance at the many signs of past destruction tells a tale of raiders, rock storms, or worse. Despite rebuilding time and again, it is not long before the jagged wastes claim this place for good. Okay. So there's our backdrop on Karnak Way Station. It looks like it's this, built on this kind of slope, defended by a tiny wall, and we're living on a prayer out here. They built Karnak Station on Pride Rock. What's left of it. Travelers gather here to the guarded compound. So when it says stories there, that's just our ability to interact with the city itself in these big text blocks. It's going to describe bar settings. It's going to describe scenes. Whole compound is crowded. All kinds of people. Travelers, crews, vagrants, mercenary warbands, trading house agents, smugglers, prostitute, thieves, and of course beggars. The largest stone building housing the tavern is filled to the brim with customers, so much so that you cannot get inside for a drink. Luckily, they had a sense to set up a bar outside too, and the kitchens try to serve as many of the clientele as possible. Should you be into jacra, meat steaks, or fried hors larvae, that is, the noise and stench of sweat and booze make you feel like you're in a war camp. Asking around, you hear of several organizations looking for transportation of goods and personnel. Okay, we're going to eat, chat, and drink with the travelers. After ordering a mug of mushroom ale and some food, you sit down on a bench under the dusty awnings and take a look around. There are some other Vagri you can talk to and soon learn the reason for the state of this place. Apparently, the Imperial legions have closed off the only pass through the Cephas Mountains. Okay, so through these stories, this is where we're going to get our information to fill out our map. So I can click on this blue Cephas Mountains. Its name means fence or wall mountains, and Imperial often called the Far Wall, and are considered to divide the original lands of the Empire, Terra Domus, and the lands beyond, Terra Supra. The terrain is dark in color and very rough. The mountains are not especially high, but are very hard to cross due to difficult terrain, including sheer, nigh vertical rock surfaces, steep cliffs, and crisscrossing crags. Guarded by the ancient fortresses called the Twin Towers. Okay. So they talk about going south, and the winds have been crazier than ever, and many people engulfed by the wind complain about having nightmares and constant headaches. So I'm just gonna ask about available work right now. We're gonna get into the blockade, the legions, the wind, and stuff later. While most travelers are trying to figure out what to do now, the representatives of several organizations are looking for Vagri. That's us. To take their cargo north, mostly to Torzag's shelter. Okay, sweet. That's all. Do something else. Eat, drink, chat. Talk to the agents of factions looking for someone to haul goods. Great. A quick survey of the options reveals several factions that are willing to pay you for hauling their cargo. Blah, blah, blah. They're agents of a trading house trying to cut losses, as well as a bunch of shady fellows. Probably smugglers who promise that you will not regret taking them and their stuff. Another group, some pilgrims who wanted to reach a shrine in the south, now wish to turn back to the shelter. Last but not least, there's a company of foreign merchants from the Dragonlands looking for a new market. I am going to take the traders from the Dragonlands. Traders helping traders. The deal is struck fairly quickly. The three trade agents of the Ratharnak Alliance want you to take them, along with their bodyguards and sizable cargo of copper ore, to Torzag's. Blah, blah, blah. You will load the goods upon leaving. Got it. Alright, we'll move over to the marketplace, see what we've got here. We've got supplies. I need at least 2 cargo slots, so these 2 cargo slots right here to get us where we're going with the goods that we just took a contract for. So we're gonna head the kettle here, the Mancio. The Mancio is where all the Vagri hang out. It's where you can hire crew, hire new beasts, and get rumors, and also trade news. So we're gonna pay for these rumors. We have to keep an eye on our money, but we're gonna pay for these rumors. Might this be an opportunity in disguise? So trade routes blocked. Click on this rumor. A lot of unsold merchandise on their hands due to blockade down south. They say that wine might fetch an especially good price up north. Wine, not luxury wine, just wine. So let's see what we have. Let's see what we have going for us here. So luxury wine, apparently not in demand. But we have wine maybe down here. I was really hoping we'd have enough money to hire another beast of burden, but we absolutely do not. Wine. Okay, so 25 in a stack. But I need, oh no, I need these 2. Alright, nothing to it. We're just gonna go with what we have, I think. I'm not gonna worry about buying any more wine just yet. I just keep this on pay now. I haven't luckily run into a situation where I'm so broke that I can't. You're likely, this is the highlight of this news tip. You're likely to run into a few death spirals before getting the hang of the game, so don't be discouraged if that happens. Okay, we have some passengers here that want to head to Torzag's. We're gonna get 6 lurgs and 5 changers. Ross, lurg, and changer. Okay. And we're going to exchange some news. So we just got news refreshed for Karnak. I'm not too worried about this spread right now. What I am going to do, though, is hire all 3 of these fighters. That's not going to set us back too much. And it's, in my opinion, it's just for the best. The best defense is a good offense. Okay. You're ready to leave Karnak way station behind. The people you've agreed to transport along with their cargo to Torzag's shelter eagerly await you at the gate of the compound. Load the cargo, put up the passengers. Ratharnak Alliance traders join your comitatus. After your crew loads the cargo, your new... See, this word gets me. Your new comies. It's like your new homies. Your new comies take their places along the line and on the carts. They remind you that going anywhere else other than Torzag's shelter renders your agreement null and void. So, you know, I think that just about the worst thing to do in this situation would be to go anywhere other than Torzag's shelter. But the option is there. Because this is an open, like completely open world game, right? Kind of do whatever you want. So no, I think this is an ability granted to us from our profession choice. That I can use all that march up. Now, the downside of using up all the march every single turn is that we drop down to 0 defense. I haven't run into that being an issue yet because I do this right here, which is post extra guards. That's going to give us +1 obedience and +1 morale, and that's why it's also always good, in my opinion, to keep a lot of extra fighters on hand. But we're posting extra guards for the obedience and the morale. And another thing we're going to do is go up to 150% rations to increase nutrition and obedience that way as well. Now, this is going to just destroy our food capacity. But everybody's going to stay happy. And if they're this happy, you know, you can run out of food and they're only going to get slightly less happy for, you know, you buy yourself 3 to 4 days. In my opinion, it's worth it. And another good thing that I always forget to check is how much insight I have, because it's how you level your stuff up. And we're going to be increasing the authority here. And well, it looks like it's at the max right now for some reason. But this can go up, so we need to increase our authority, because that's going to allow us to assign more deputies to positions in the caravan, which are essentially officers. We don't have any companions yet, but which are essentially officers that perform a function. You know, they'll help you improve your cargo. They'll be the leader of your warriors, etc. Okay, because we have no companions, we have nobody to chit chat with while we're camping. All we're focused on here is keeping our rations at 150, so we keep getting bonuses for nutrition and obedience. Paying everybody now. There's no reason not to, really, unless you're broke. Unless you're all in on a trade right down to your party's wages. So the comitatus is in sight of the nearby settlement, eager to get some well-deserved rest. But what do the people who took you on at Karnak say about all this? Let's take a look at this. So we're approaching these gates. They give me Mordor, you know, kind of Blackgate vibes with the crowns. What would that be? That's not a crenellation. That's more like a... I don't even know what you would call it. Just a spike. It's a spike. They seem happy to have reached their destination. The great Blackblood mountain towers ahead, crowned with black fortresses and jagged battlements. The single, immense wall that blocks entry into the bowels of the mountain looms ahead. Your passengers are making ready to depart, but first they check their cargo. Cargo's in order, they unload it. They hand you the agreed upon fee. The Rathernak Alliance considers you a friend, Vagrus. Awesome. That's awesome. I've in my previous game I've bumped into the Rathernak. Could have gone badly. So I've never taken the traders before. Okay, so there's kind of a taste of our first mission, I guess. Delivering travelers. Leading beasts of burden, swearing loaders, exhausted slaves, decrepit pilgrims, and fellow Vagri, greeted gruffly by the guards. You have nothing to hide, or at least there's no way they can find it. It's in my safe pocket. Pay the gate tax. I think you can defer the gate tax, but again, like, it is so insignificant that if you're that hard up, you're probably, again, unless you went all in on a big trade, but you haven't paid anybody, you're not paying gate tax. Okay, Torzag's shelter. Through the vast caverns and tunnels inside Blackblood Mountain merely gave refuge to war leader Torzag many centuries past. The imperial city of, we're just gonna not try and maybe Tineb-Vitris, or as people have been persistently calling it, Torzag's shelter. Yeah, because it's easier to say. That sprung up there following the war, managed to transform into one of the most important settlements on the continent. Often referred to as Surgorod's city, the shelters not only houses the Cathedral of the Raging One in its immense, ever-dark caves, but is also a bustling trading settlement and the center of obsidian harvesting in the region. Thousands toil and haggle under its wrought iron chandeliers every day, while servants of the Master of Curses deal out justice in the name of their malevolent god. I'm actually almost out of breath. Okay, cool. Let's head to the market, because we're here to trade. Listen to news and rumors. Spare some coins. It's worth it. A couple of changers. Hopefully you can make good news. News refresh Stygios Lumber Camp. Wow, that's super cool. I have no idea where that place is. Seek out the Freelancers Guild at the local Castrum Mercenaria. Let's check that out. You enter the fortified Castrum Mercenaria. Given that this is your first time in such a place, you ask to speak to someone in charge. Takes little time to find the grizzled veteran who seems to be in charge. You ask for assistance. Nods curtly. Mercenaries for hire. Specializes in freelancing enterprises. Responding in kind, you ask what kind of mercenaries are available for hire. Wish to hire, let's hire a mercenary. A curt nod and a short explanation elucidate what the Collegia Mercenaris has to offer. You can only have one of the 4 available mercenaries in your employ at any given time. They're hired for 30 days. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Not for 10 bros. This is a lot of money, but this is really cool. Seek out Braxius' store. Braxius looks like Darth Maul. What can I do for you? He says with a ghoulish grin. Looks like he lives in a shady part of town with giant ants. Are you Braxius? In the flesh. I specialize in connecting such people. I might have someone you will find useful and even help you in getting them to join you. And I owe Agos. Agos? if we're paying attention, was the old man's name. I didn't say that, so. Ask him who he can get and what this will cost you. Dark elves, yada yada yada. So, he's telling me he knows somebody named Renkalon who's a dark elf. We're gonna hire him because I need companions. I'll take anybody. Do I have questions for him? Absolutely not. Cole's notes. Renkalon is a dark elf. Okay. And I bet you can guess the rest, but he's got a really rocky past, and somehow he's pretty good at not being seen and killing people. Take on Renkalon, but try to haggle his fee? Absolutely. I am a merchant. He forgoes the fee. There are two options, in fact. You want to hear me out? Let's hear him out. One's a dwarf, and the other is an orc. Let's... Do we take the orc or the dwarf? I think we take the dwarf. Get Garrick in the crew. There for Garrick. Okay. So I have to go to the old bathhouse in the Undercity to get this dwarf. Go to the bathhouse. The old bathhouse on the northeast side of the Undercity is well known around the city as the Loaders Guild base of operations. Large decaying building of once beautiful marble pillars, arches, and domes, quite reflective of the fate of the Collegium, really. You make your way to the gates, where a couple of rough-looking bouncers stop you. Entry only on official business, mate. Tell them you're borrow some money. Tell them you're here for someone. Everything changes when you mention the name of Braxius and the fact that you're here for Garrick. Garrick is pretty... I don't know if he's happy. Okay, he's mad at them. Our dwarf friend here is swearing and threatening the guards that just released him. And he needed to be given something. A golden and Garrick appears to be holding some kind of an object. Golden and with a complicated design. The guards are shocked and getting angry, but the sight of the red-faced dwarf and the object, as well as their orders, give them pause. So he wanted a device, clearly, that he had taken from when he had been arrested back from the guards. A moment of silence follows. The guards look flabbergasted, small droplets of sweat forming on their foreheads. I'll keep it all right, Garrick hisses. It's mine, and I'll make sure you'll remember that. Tensions amount as the dwarf points one end of the device towards the guards. He sticks the device into his crossbelt and shuffles out on the street, so he didn't shoot anybody, he just threatened them. Ask him about the device. I think it's a gun. Wooden thing embossed. Looks like a tiny crossbow without the limbs. It's a pistol, alright, a ballistic weapon. My kin used to be able to make them, using black powder. Very rare these days. Alright, so our sweet, sweet dwarf companion now has a pistol. That's all I really needed to know. I've heard enough. Garrick is a dwarf of his word, it seems. You meet him at the Mancio, all packed up and ready to go. Okay, so far we have... Wait, how many people have we recruited? Companions? Okay, good. We have Renkalon. Anyways, we've got old Renki. And he is our dark elf. And then we have Garrick, who is our dwarf. We're going to assign these guys duties here. I think that Garrick can go supercargo, which adds to our negotiate points and the amount of cargo we can carry. And then Rankalon can be a scoutmaster, which gives us +1 movement and +15 scouting base chance. Both extremely useful bonuses when we get out into the great wide world. We're going to trade some news and get 9 changers here. We're going to buy some mushroom field rumors. Underground fields. One can buy the beer as well as the raw crop itself at really good value. So, Devon's mushroom. So Devan is good for mushroom beer. And it's good for mushrooms. So let's go to Devan. And let's go to notes. Go to new entry. Mushrooms/mushy beer. Boom. I don't know why the custom notes are so short. I don't think I can add. Oh, I can add to it. I've never gotten to this part. I never thought to click the feather again. I thought it was just editing it. Okay. Mushrooms and mushroom beer come from this place. Cheapest here. Okay, so we can use Devon as a trade hub for bringing mushroom beer maybe back down south, east, maybe southeast to Angred. I've never been there. All over the place. All over the place. So we're gonna see what contracts we can take up towards Devon. Right now we have about 5 days of food, and we don't have that much cargo room. And we don't have that much money. So one of the first things we're going to do is come over here, and we're going to check the job board. This is a faction panel. And they will offer us a lot of trade and combat missions between each city. So like I said, I'm looking for things that are going to take us to Devon and Arcane. Arcane is between Torzag Shelter and Devon. So let's take procure goods. Now, we just have to see how many of these we can actually take, because we're going to get stacks of items here. So maybe, well, let's look at Arcane, because it's closer, but we'll see. I don't see too many for Arcane. Do we see a lot for Devon or just the one? Can't take that one. I can take that one for Arcane. Can't take that one for Devon. We can take that one for Arcane. Maybe we start with the Arcanes, and if we're not full, we'll take the Devon. Supply run. Take 30 pottery. Boom. Wow, that just destroyed our cargo space. Now, why do I have luxury wine? Can I sell this? Let's get rid of this stat. Now we're rich. 38 brass. Okay, we're gonna go back to the faction center. We have a couple more spaces opened up. And again, we're looking for any supply runs to Arcane. That pays 10, that pays 11. I don't see... Looking for anything that might pay a bit more, but I don't see anything else. So hopefully we can take both of those. So Arcane, this pays 10. We're gonna start with the 11. But what does it need? 2 cargo slots? Okay. Hopefully. Wait a second. It's worth it. It's worth it to take more contracts to Arcane. So what we did was we just bought a beast of burden. We're still within our workforce threshold. The more beasts you buy, the more workforce you need. Everybody's pretty happy. I'm a little broke, but it's gonna allow us to take another one to Arcane. And we still have 3 slots here. I don't think there's anything else for Arcane, but we were able to grab, I want to say 4 contracts for the next city in line. And this requires we have to procure goods for the Carpenter's Guild, and that's the next city beyond Arcane where we're headed. So we're going to take this one as well. I really hope this works out. We're going to look for some more equipment. Harnesses. Protected harnesses? Yeah, let's get that for sure. So protected harnesses, +5 flee, outrider defense, beast defense, mount defense, -10 consumption. Sure. That all sounds positive to me. Traveling, no. Standard armaments. Oh, that's expensive. Great lamps. Category lamp. Interesting. You know what? That might be worth it. We're gonna do it. Okay. Let's check if we can grab any passengers headed up north. Nobody that we can see. I don't know where these... I know these places are up north, but it is far away. I don't know if we're gonna make it. Nothing else for Arcane. No more rumors, and again, no passengers for Arcane, okay? Let's check out the town a little bit. We went to the market district. Let's explore the city. Public sacrifices. Food and blood. Offer a... pray to the dark gods of the Empire for insight. I don't know what these two, supplies. Great sacrifice. Supplies 100. Let's do it. I already feel the power of the gods. The blessing of Askel. Okay, we're gonna buy a little bit more food here. 244. That gives us 6 days. I think we have such a small caravan right now, such small comitatus, that we're gonna be able to get to the next city as is. Hopefully turn a profit. Hopefully be able to pay our guys all the way there. We're getting out of here. I'm spending too much money. Okay. As the comitatus takes its place in the long line at the vast gate, you notice a lean woman dressed in a bureaucrat's tunic and a cape approach one of your guards and talk to him briefly. They walk up to you soon afterward. Apologies, Vagrus, the woman says, bowing her head politely. I work for the Magistrate of Tax Collection. No need to be alarmed. I'm here to present you an opportunity. I have a message attached to some documents that need to be delivered to Arcane to a client of ours. Should you take the message, you'll be compensated upon handing it over. What say you? Take the document case. That's exactly where we're headed. See, a part of me wants to really play this out and just be... like, I don't need help from anybody. Turn down the companions. Turn down stuff like this that's just handed to you. I'm like, I'm headed to Arcane. And I wonder if those choices are in this game just to make you, you know, blunder and realize, oh, okay, I'm just going to say yes to that next time. Or if there's an actual separate outcome that could also potentially benefit you. After storing the case with your personal belongings, you signal the comitatus to move on towards the city gate. We are looking for somebody who lives above a tobacco shop on Siltwade Street, and his name is Levantius. Alright, we're gonna double check our map. It's going to show us where all these money bags are. So we're going to leave Torzag Shelter. We're going to take the main road, and we're going to head to Arcane. I have not tried going cross-country. I just know that, like, this is kind of Lords of Might and Magic stuff, but traveling on the road is often better for movement. So we're not very well rested. I am going to use up our movement, though, and take our rest on the road. But there's a lot of value in taking your rest in the city as well. And instead of... So I can use this, maybe this march movement, or foraging, or hunting. But there's infrequently food to be found, or of any kind, on the main road. So I would rather use my march movement to get extremely, as far as I can. Just as far as I can every time. So again, extra guards, and I'm giving them way more food. We're not going to get 6 days out of this trip, but it should still be okay. Double check the map. I have missed so many turns. But we're going to follow this road to the crossroads. We can actually stop there. And then we'll go north and take in on this kind of black track. Maybe it's not a main road. I don't know if we get the same movement bonus, but we're going to head west towards Arcane once we get up there. So you can run into any number of random scenarios just while you're moving down the road. We can talk to these guys and get to know them. What I really like to do is talk to them and try and increase my relationship with them, kind of first and foremost. Dwarf's easy. We can just give them a bonus. And it's not that expensive. The Dark Elf, however, requires, like, drugs. Okay, let's enter the crossroads. Take a look at this. Pretty interesting. Just a kind of a watchtower, just in the middle of nowhere. Three large marble obelisks stand silently where the Emperor's Road and the Windway meet. Sometimes Komatati stop here before continuing their arduous journeys north, south, or east. The Standing Stones care little for such visitors, for they have witnessed so many of their short-lived kind pass by. The whistling of the wind and the swirling dust never ceases here. Stop at the crossroads and look around. The Grand Junction. The throbbing heart of the whole region. It's rather disappointing. 3 lean standing stones, each about 60 feet high. They're otherwise featureless beyond being 60 feet tall. Even though it's not busy now, you know it can be a very busy site, as lots of other Komatati and travelers pass through here, often making camp for the night. Let's look around the area. Maybe there's something we've missed. None of you can find anything vaguely interesting. Examine the waystones. Gigantic pointed obelisks are made of marble. They loom indifferently. Okay. Not a lot to do here just now. No use in lingering. No markets, no anything to kind of get involved with. So we're going to follow the road right up here to this next turn, this next T-junction. Then we're headed west to Arcane. I've never been to Valerius. Kind of looks like a shire. All the houses almost look built into the ground. So if we begin running out of food, that's when I'm going to begin conserving movement and actually foraging or hunting. That's my plan. I think we'll get to Arcane. Maybe not tonight. Not tonight. Next turn. We're a little fatigued. Everybody's doing okay, though. Otherwise. And if you're slaves, and this is terrible to say, but if you're slaves stop being compliant, you can discipline them. It's just a little button that looks like a 7-tailed whip. Or a 9-tailed whip. What's that called? A cat's tail? Cat's eye? Cat's tail? So it is a little more expensive to do the 150% supply, but I think it's worth it. Very cool. Almost like a ziggurat city. Travelers, merchants, patrols, and the like move around sluggishly as you approach the settlement. While some of them are just loitering, maybe waiting for something or just merely resting. Yet one group stands out. At the side of the road, you can see a handful of scantily clad people surrounded by men in dark robes. Screams can be heard. There's clearly violence going on, but the rest of the travelers just walk by without paying attention. Upon getting closer, you assess the situation. The men wearing black are without a doubt priests of Surgarod, who are in the process of mercilessly whipping the poor wretches who appear to be slaves. The angry rants of the priests make it clear that this is punishment for some offense, maybe an escape attempt? Blood soils the dust, and Surgarodites are obviously taking grim pleasure in their brutal work. This looks like fun. Absolutely not. Stop the comitatus and leisurely observe the situation. Garrick and Renkalon gained loyalty. Weird. See, so that's the thing. This game, oh my goodness, it's gonna take me a bit to think of to remember the title, but I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna have to look it up. It's got a very similar aesthetic, but there's kind of an action, not an action RPG, like a Baldur's Gate style game that has a very similar kind of vibe and aesthetic, where most of your companions will actually get a better rep with you, kind of the more negative you are. You stop the comitatus and take in the sight. It's not pretty, but the dealings of Surgarodites with slaves and offenders to imperial laws seldom are. At first glance, the whole affair appears to be one big, bloody, chaotic mess, with the priests swinging their whips with fierce indiscrimination, almost as if in a frenzy, but after a little while, it becomes obvious that there is a malignant method to it. Surgarodites sure know how to deal out punishment in the most effective way. You look at your crew just like... You suddenly catch the eyes of your own slaves, widened in terror as they watch. Well, here's a memory to recall should they consider disobedience or mutiny. After a while, you decide you've seen enough and give the order for the comitatus to proceed. And still the priests go on about their bloody work. -10 abolitionists and +4 obedience. I don't even know where to find the abolitionist stat. Arcane. Nestled beneath the thicket of rock pillars called the Arcaros Forest, the imperial town of Arcane is constantly beaten by wind and engulfed in fine dust from the jagged waste. However unforgivable though its surroundings are, the settlement's inhabitants thrive thanks to Earth's abundant bounty. Marble, limestone, granite, and shale. Artists and artisans carve the precious stones in their workshops and warehouses ceaselessly behind the town's silt-laden walls under the watchful eye of the Praetor. Trail of the Beast. Look for the monsters stalking the vicinity of Arcane. Nope. Speak with Levantius. Let's do that. Start there. The street dozes sleepily under the hot daytime sun. Sharp bitter odor of tobacco and bogweed. It's kind of like a smoke shop strip. as you make your way to the 3-storied white building where Levantius dwells. You're offered all kinds of baccy, incense, reefers, pipes, hookahs, and the like. Is this Canada? Enter the lodging house where Levantius resides, occupied by yet another tobacco shop. Tarkian woman doesn't care that I'm looking for this guy. I had to climb a ladder into his slum. He tries to dismiss me because he thinks I'm a serving girl. And we just handed him straight from the Magistrate of Tax Collection in Torzag's shelter. I am Levantius, splendid, just splendid. Blah, blah, blah. I need to pay you for the fee of the delivery. So he's gonna... This is a lurg. A lurg. He gave us... a buck. That's... I wouldn't even know how to... So 10 changers is 1 lurg. 10 lurg is 1 brass. It's a great system. It's metric. It's very metric. 10s. So he gave me 1/10 of a brass, or 10 changers. It's pretty lame if you ask me. Am I right to assume that you're quite a traveler? Of course, he says. Would you care to take me with you as a passenger in case you have plans to visit Lumen anytime soon? For a more than fair compensation. As it turns out, I must leave Arcane earlier than expected. I'm not planning to travel to Lumen. Where's Lumen? Let's look for Lumen right now. Arcane, Torzag's shelter. Oh, see? We just took a mission to Devon. So instead, I think next time we take something to Torzag's shelter, we'll stop by Arcane, pick him up, then go to Torzag's, and then head to Lumen. But right now, we're pretty well dedicated to heading north towards Steven. I'm not planning to travel to Lumen right now. Fair enough. Could you at least maybe return to me in case you change your mind or you have some business to attend to in Lumen? You'll be handsomely rewarded by my mistress, Candake, and I promise not to be a burden during the journey. Promise? To that you agree, and why not? Taking along a passenger for a fee certainly can't hurt. Right, so we'll catch him on the return trip. Let's turn in our supply runs. And this coal, is this coal? This obsidian is still for Devon. Okay, so hopefully we can grab some new supply runs from here to Devon. And some new supplies. But 32 brass, is not looking too bad right now. Procure goods for Devon. Can't do it for some reason. Can't do it. Distribute for Ratharnak to Devon. We'll take that one. That one pays 15 brass. Is there anything up near Devon that we're missing? Like, I'm not gonna go from here to Valerius then up, but there's nothing else on the way. There's the cone, the drill bit. Okay. That sucks. There's not a lot for Devon just yet, but we'll find some stuff. We'll find passengers. Mines of plenty, hills of plenty. I didn't know that existed. Let's hire ourselves Couple more fighters, couple more slaves, couple more workers, and one more scout. There we go. Our workforce is way, way high. We don't need this many guys, but we're gonna take it. Rumor added the Emporium trade outpost, a Ratharnak Emporium, which might be interested to anyone wishing to do business with the Industrious Trading House. Okay. Now, what did we take here? Active or going up to Devon? We have obsidian and marble. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a crazy amount of supplies here. 3 days, 6 days. We're gonna get another one, and then we're grabbing. Well, obsidian's in demand here, so we're definitely not buying that here. But maybe marble? Marble looks like it's good. So 5 for marble. Let's get some. We've got 8 days of food. We have marble to trade. We have obsidian. Hopefully we make some money here. I don't know if I'll be able to pay everybody for the whole trip. And we have nobody headed towards Devon at all. We spoke with Levantius. Let's explore the city before we go. As you stroll along the streets, let's take a look at these mean streets. Kind of looks like a bazaar. As you stroll along the streets, the air becomes even hotter than average and unusually still. The wind dies. This should be suspicious by itself, but then you look around and realize that people are rushing into buildings, awnings are being taken down while window panes and doors are being shut. This doesn't bode well. Finally, you look up and see that the horizon to the east has turned into a dark red haze. A dust storm is upon Arcane. It takes only a few seconds, and suddenly the wind howls with all its strength again, and a fierce torrent of sand wipes over the streets, obstructing both sight and movement. You must find shelter as quickly as possible. From behind the crimson curtain, a dark shape emerges. Here, you fool. Quickly, follow me. Try to make it on our own. You stumble through the streets, but wherever you turn, there's only dust, mercilessly tearing at your clothes and your very skin, making its way into your eyes, mouth, and nostrils. Coughing heavily, you finally manage to find an archway and stumble into a nearby inner yard with a roof. You're not the only one. Workers, slaves, soldiers, and other citizens have sought shelter here. Together you wait for the storm to pass. You're so exhausted from the ordeal that you have to lay down. After a while, it's safe to go outside again. -1 vigor? Damn it. Okay, exploring the city was a terrible idea. And the Constant Sculptor. So the Constant Sculptor is Fatmus, and he is an undead sculptor. Although he has decided to sculpt most of his body, as you can kind of tell from the portrait here, he's still missing his face and his hands. Ask him about his wares. Buy sculpture, sell him something, leave the shop. I wonder how much. A glowing crystal statuette. Wood carving. Properties of the statue. He doesn't feel anything, but the plant... The piece of wood was carved in the form of a humanoid with several arms. I made that myself after I bought that strange wood from a curious-looking man. He looked half plant, half human. Half living, half dead. Half clay, half bone. That must have been the properties. He just says he doesn't feel anything when holding it. Interesting. Okay, maybe we can't buy those just yet. Trail of the Beast. We're not interested in hunting down a beast just yet. We're gonna hope this trading plan pans out to get all the way to Devon on 8 days of supplies. Mostly steady. We've got steady, devoted slave workforce right now. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. So if you do the tutorial for this game, it's going to tell you that maybe marching is not the best idea, and you should utilize your scouting and, oh, we can't afford anything. We're going to click pay later because we're broke, maybe. No, we're not broke yet. I don't think we're broke yet. We're okay. We're okay. Hey, now. We're almost broke, though. We still have lots of food, so I don't care about that. As for pay, after tonight, we're gonna defer pay. This city is way further away than I thought. Pay later. We're not gonna stop at Ventulium. As much as I'd like to. Don't worry. This trade route right here between Devon and Arcane, this is going to be a staple, I think. Extra guards, 150% food. Not great. Not great. Hopefully we make it to... There's a yell ahead as one of your Vanguard scouts signals the Comitatus about something on the road. Takes only a few minutes to reach it and see what it is. Another Comitatus, only this one is upturned carts and dead beasts along with its massacred crew. Bodies are everywhere, lying on the road and on the side of the dike, bloodied, mutilated even. There's also a stench of burnt flesh in the air from where you stopped it. It seems that nobody is moving. From where you stopped, it seems that nobody's moving. Mustn't have been long ago, one of your comies informs you. Maybe several hours from the looks of it. Even now, most of your crew is looking around anxiously, holding weapons ready for an ambush. Investigate the wreckage. You take some of your most trusted comies and approach the wreckage. It appears that someone set an ambush for the unfortunate Comitatus here. Most of the beasts of burden were killed very early in the attack, struck down by arrows and javelins. The crew and guards were massacred when they tried to defend themselves. They seem like your regular trader sort, although a few among them are wearing colored steel armor, the likes of which you've only seen on soldiers of the dragon armies. Everything points to the assault being well-coordinated work of professionals. Scout tells you she does not think that any of them got away. There are burn marks all over the place. Whatever caused them must have been potent, like dwarven bombs, only smaller. The strangest thing is a pair of corpses fused together as if petrified into a lethal hug by what you can only imagine was some devastating arcane force. They're so badly burned it is impossible to make out who or what they once were. Anguished cry from the other side of the wreckage. Young woman whose right leg is stuck under a fallen cart. Rush to her aid. Takes her several minutes to calm down, and you use that to have your free crew her leg and free her leg and tend to her wounds. I'm very grateful. I'm a representative of the Dragonlands. Well, of the Blue Brood, to be precise. Thank you for saving my life. You ask her how she ended up here. We hired this Comitatus. We're diplomats. These murderers were clearly here to kill us. They even had a sorcerer with them. And counter the magical abilities of my superior and my own. Remain tactful, but console her. That's the best decision here. They lost loyalty. See, nobody loves when you're nice to anybody. I got stuck beneath the cart during the attack. Her master basically teleported to the enemy caster, gave him a bear hug, and then exploded. You instruct your crew to put the bodies to rest. You move away from the worst part, and Finderarth calms herself with a drink of cool water. You probably have questions. I really don't. Ask what she wants to do now. So we're just going to get through this. She is a dragon blue brood representative. That's who she is. Why she's here and what this mission of hers is. She's telling us it's a diplomatic mission. Ask about the attack. She insists it was professionals sent to prevent her diplomatic mission. What she want to do now? She wants to join us. I shall honor the work and memory of Hathardos, that's her boss, and these unfortunate souls and do my job. Make your decision about Finderrath. Offer to take her to Kernak. So Kernak is south of the Herzog something or other. What is it called? Tarnak? Torzag. Kernak is right down here. So we'll take her to Kernak, kind of on our turnaround. My plan here is we're going to head to Devon, see what we encounter on the way up to Devon. We're going to pull some missions, hopefully, from Devon that'll take us back to either Arkan or Torzags or both. Even Lumen, I'd be happy to go to Lumen, then from Lumen back to Torzags, and then down to Kernak. Either way, I think we're going to end up down at Kernak within the next little while. So she's very grateful that we're going to take her. If we do not get there in about 3 weeks' time, I'll have to leave you and make my own way there. I offer you the dragon steel, my former companions, along with the cargo of our unfortunate comitatus. We're on the way, but here's the problem, is they gave us too much stuff. I don't think we'll be able to move, actually, at all. No, see, so we have too much stuff. Now, these supplies, they can go for sure. This dragon steel, absolutely not. The big question here is, okay, do we get rid of... What do we get rid of? I think we swap coffee beans for dragon steel, right? There's only 3 of them, not 8. Not 8 marble, there's just 3 coffee beans. And these supplies go. That's the plan. Same plan. We got a bunch of extra supplies there. We're still paying everybody later, though, because we are broke. But we're almost at Devon, I think. Yeah, they're the Spires, Devon. Perfect. I think we can get away with maybe one more day of not paying anybody. Yeah, no, I definitely can't pay anybody. We are super broke. So currently, I owe people 2 bros. Or, what are they called? Lurgs and 8 changers. See? But everybody's still happy. Wow, actually, distressed and submissive. Not happy. Everybody is not happy, but they're about to be. Because hopefully, we get a little rich. So, here's the issue with this dragon steel, is that it just so happens to be contraband. We can, this is very high. I can spend some resource, but I think very high is about as high as it gets. I can bribe them, or I can smuggle. We're going to click smuggle every time. If this fails, this is going to be one of the criteria where I reload the game. FYI. Success. Okay, great. Pay the gate tax. Always pay the gate tax before you head in. While the original site of Devon is nothing more than a stretch of rocky desert watched over by the silent, pitch-black columns of the spires, the settlement did survive into the Fourth Age. The endless labyrinth of huge cavernous halls and twisting natural tunnels that encompass the city today have grown immensely since the calamity. In the perpetual gloom of the subterranean chambers, luminous crystals and bright kelp braziers grant enough light for businesses to thrive and citizens to build homes. That said, not all the inhabitants of Devon appreciate the light, as the disreputable wraiths and other dwellers of darkness make up a large portion of the city's population. It is best to keep looking over one's shoulder, lest a blade find one's heart. Scary. Scary. Let's turn in these rewards and then let's hope our trader's savvy is gonna pay off here. I really should have written down what we paid for these. I suppose I'll check the stream later and just be upset. We're also gonna sell all of this spice. Got food guts, we've got spice. We have our contraband, which I don't think we can sell. No, absolutely not. For whatever reason, this is contraband everywhere. Not the coffee, you monster. We had to give it up in favor of the dragon steel because they are worth just an insane amount of money. We have 8 of these. This could make us... If we can find a place to sell this, we're rich. Rich. Okay, let's take a look at everybody. We're gonna trade some news. We're gonna check out Salem's Truth. Rumor added. Dark rumors abounding about the town of Salem. It states that the town's salt production is stunted compared to the presence of the Dragon Lords, trading houses, Sharat. It's a charade to hide something. People in the know whisper that those speaking of this in Salem disappear quickly. They sound like witches. Okay, so we are in Devon. Let's check the map here. We're in Devon. Let me zoom out. We're in Devon. Our plan here is to pick up contracts that take us back south in the Jagged Waste. We hope to grab contracts that either take us to Arcane or I think it's Valerius here. One of these 2 towns. If we can get contracts from Devon to these 2 towns and then one to Torzags, I'm happy. If we can find one that takes us all the way down to Kernak Way Station again, I'm happier. And then we're going to go from Kernak Way Station down to this mountain pass. That's the working plan. I've got to take a bit of a bio break here. I'll be right back. And then we'll get into that. In the meantime, I'll put us on the main page of the Devon city here. And I will be right back. If you're catching this later, don't sweat it, because this won't even make it into the cut. If you're hanging out right now, give me a few minutes. Okay. Oh, I guess the music stopped, eh? I probably shouldn't have done that. Won't matter. Won't matter later. Won't matter. Okay. Now that we're into the game, we're kind of past what I'm gonna call the learning, the learning curve portion of the game. I'm gonna be reading a lot more and paraphrasing a lot less, but again, these descriptions are just way too good to gloss over. So we've read the Thieving description. We have done our trade. Now we're gonna take a look at any passengers. It doesn't look like anybody's headed back towards Torzag's shelter. Nothing crazy about the rumors either so far. That would tell us, you know, maybe suggest to us that we should trade something specific. So let's look at Arcane, Valerius, and Torzag. See if we can find anything for those. So 2 cargo slots for 20 brass. I think we're going to take this one. Distribute for the Carpenters Guild. Easy. Keep our cargo hold open here. We may actually buy another Beast of Burden if we find some good ones. So one thing already going to Torzag's. If we can skip Arcane entirely, that wouldn't be terrible. But if there's some valuable trades there, we'll take them. Wowzers. Okay, we're going to Arcane. Yeah, absolutely. So let's start with the high ones. Arcane for 16. Arcane for 15. This is 15 brass. That's the silver currency. That's the big show. I think this calls for purchasing another Beast of Burden for 25. We still have a good workforce ratio, but I am gonna buy another horse as well. And then we've got 10 workers, 10 slaves. Like I said, maybe we can push this whole comitatus into a slaveless comitatus. In that way, I think what we're gonna find is that we actually lose a stat here. We lose obedience, because if we have 0 slaves, we require obedience. We kind of completely remove a negative effect from the game. So that's maybe going to be our plan. We're going to try to move away from our reliance on slaves at some point. But right now, it's all about the brass. Any good equipment here? I don't think so. Tools, maybe, if we needed some good quality tools. What does that give us? Plus 5% workforce. We'll spend the money. I think these bonuses go a long way, especially early on. Harnesses and defense. This isn't harnesses. So this is good for consumption, but this is 20 and 30% consumption versus 10% consumption. So hold on, let's do some math here. Math. Beast of Burden. Okay. Where's its consumption is 32 minus 10%, which is minus 3.2. And if we're going to put on awnings, that's 20%, negative 20% worker and negative 10% slave. The slave consumption is 10, so that saves us 1, right? And then it's at 20%? 20% worker. That saves us 1, and that saves us 2, which is 3. Wait. If 10% is 2, 20% is 4. So that would save us 5% consumption total. Meanwhile, this only saves us 3.2% consumption, but what does the... What else does it do? Defense, I think we go with awning. That seems to me to be, it's going to be saving us a lot more food. Speaking of food, we should set ourselves up with enough supplies. To me, a minimum of 1,000 supplies, 8 days travel between sites. I think that's a reasonable standard. Starting out, you may or may not have the money. But it's absolutely required. Another thing we're gonna do here, I think we're okay. I think we're okay for now, actually. I like this extra storage. We're gonna need to hire somebody as a chief handler, a Venatorus, but I don't think anybody has the skills. And we're gonna need to increase our authority. Maybe we can do that right now, actually. Boom. We got some authority right there. These seem to me to be all kind of leader abilities, this leadership tree. So maybe I stay on to... I'm trying to think about where we should focus if we're going to be the trader here. Evaluate, for sure. You know the value of anything that can be traded. We'll start there. Oh, +2 discipline? No way. Intimidation? For sure, we'll take 1 in that. You never know. It might be useful. Scouting base chance is decent. Sounds pretty good anyway. Strong-minded. Tough. Dexterous. Mighty. Physical strength. On. Lie effectively. That's a valuable skill in the wasteland, okay? In the Riven Realms. Alright, so, where are we? We're in Devon. Our goal is to head south again, so we're looking for Arcane. We've currently taken Torzag's Arcane and Arcane. Is there anything left? Supply run for Loader's Guild, Arcane. We have 3 more slots. This is a combat mission. They don't pay enough for the losses you take this early in the game, I find. Supply run for the Church of Surgorod, Arcane. Okay. Yeah, I feel like we're just gonna be rich at the end of this one. So we have 25 brass right now. I don't even know if we should waste our time buying anything. Nobody's headed to Arcane. Let's check price histories. Devon and Arcane. These price dates are 6 days old. They shouldn't have changed that much. So this is good to write here, actually, that bronze, let's do that. Map. new entry. So new entry for Demon. Bronze sells well. Self-explanatory. Bring bronze here. Okay. So Demon has got us. We've with the bronze. We know we need to bring it here. Let's check. Well, we've got the. This isn't that old. This isn't that 10 days, 12 days. This is good. This is some good price comparison. So we know that we can sell bronze in Devon for 4 brass a piece, like 4.5 almost, we'll call it. And we can buy it. Well, I mean, we can buy it for 4.5, but back at Kernak, we can buy it for 3.3. So maybe Kernak up to Devon. That is a long ass trip. But later on in the game, I think when your comitatus is huge, maybe, you know, something where you're making, if we're looking at bronze, wherever it went, you know, we can sell it for 438 right now in Devon. If we go to Kernak, I mean, for bronze, you're literally making four brass almost, 3.5. You're making 3.5 per item, which is insane. That's insane. You can stack this 8 units a stack. So, you know, 8, 16, 24. You're making 24 brass per stack if you can bring it from Kernak to Devon. That is a worthwhile. I'm gonna add that to the notes. That's a worthwhile trade to me. Bring bronze here. Great. From Kernak. And we'll go down to Kernak, and just as a little reminder, we'll put a note that says buy bronze or Devon. So a lot of games I play, a lot of survival games. This game, it's a different delivery, but reminds me a lot of the game Kenshi, which I stream often. And one of the things I wish Kenshi had, for instance, on his world map, was an ability to just put notes. Just give me the chance to put notes. I don't want to open up a Google Doc. Okay, so now we've got our Arcane drops. We've got our Torzag shelter drops. We know where we're headed. We have our supplies to last us 8 days, which should get us to Arcane. Now, let's try and stack our cash here. So we're going to go see what we have been given active. For Arcane, we're bringing mushroom beer, pottery, and pottery. So let's go back to the market. They don't just deliver those things. You know, usually if you follow that, you're also going to be making money. So we could do chitin or chitin. I'm not sure how to pronounce that word. I think it's chitin because the bug is chitinous. Don't quote me. I think we can do chitin. Let's just go to bulk. So for a stack, we're looking at 7 brass. Or we could do mushroom beer, and for a stack, we're looking at 2 brass. Because they're bringing mushroom beer down. I say we try mushroom beer because it's cheap. We'll do 50 brass, or 4 brass. Okay, so we've got 4.5. That's what we just spent on our own mushroom beer. Not the mushroom beer we're bringing as part of our contract. Somebody needs to remember 4.5 and let me know when we finally get to Arcane, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay, Arcane. We're headed to Arcane. We spent 4.5. Arcane, 4.5. Just gotta remember that. Let's see if we can get any news and rumors. Spend some coin. Quite a few interesting things. So we got news refreshed Vagrus work camp. Awesome. Never even heard of it. Enter the Hall of Trade. Borrow some money. Okay, so Hall of Trade is essentially a bank. Shadowseer, I don't know why I didn't just ask somebody to type it in the chat instead of, you know, the more arduous task of remembering something. I appreciate that. The Temple Ward, the gardens. We're going to explore the city. Go for a stroll and see what we can find. A terrible stench hits you like a punch in the face as you turn a corner on the border of the Shadow Bazaar. That is a tongue twister. And the Hinter Caves. You soon learn that the source of this odor is a 12-foot-long, hideous, rubbery worm with feelers along its greenish, slimy body with a shoulder strap and a kickstand. It now hangs limply from a series of hooks. The men gathered around it tell you that this creature, a Grufta, was caught in the old sewers running beneath your feet. Beasts grew larger on refuse and other nasty things down there. A gap-toothed fellow in a leather skull cap confides. They say it also eats urchins that wander too close to the sewers. A shiver runs down your spine as you look at the creature. The men here continue to spin tales about it intertwined with nuggets of wisdom. You leave after you think you've heard enough. I wish they would give us some visual for that encounter. Some artwork for that gigantic centipede. Are you a centipede or a millipede? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Imposter! Engulfed in a constant gloom that is barely penetrated by the scarcely placed luminous crystals, Devon is a vast, dangerous city of many opportunities and perils. One can find all sorts of interesting things simply by looking. Not today, though. Perhaps tomorrow. Okay, we have loaded our cargo hold. We have food. We have rations. We have taken passengers. We have listed rumors. We're going to exchange some news that we just picked up in the market. We can't take any more tasks to Arcane or Torzags. Onward. So we're headed right back down. Ooh, exhausted. Maybe shouldn't have done that. Should have rested in the town. We'll see how well this goes. Extra guards and 150% rations should do, and because we're rich now, we're gonna start paying our guys every single day. Why is she so cranky? You visit Finderarth in the makeshift infirmary. Her wounds are healing at a steady pace. She is quite genial. Until then, she is still thinking about what to do. Okie dokie. Everybody's getting a little better. We're still exhausted. I'm not sure how I can negate this exhausted state. I'd like to get everything up a little bit. Interesting. Maybe we'll camp without marching. We'll march every other day. You notice Finderarth sitting at the campfire talking to people. She still uses a large Slarad femur she got from a crew member a few days ago as a crutch to walk around, but apparently her leg is almost fully healed now. And her being miserable when not socializing, it is no wonder she takes every opportunity to speak to the crew. She notices you, smiles, and beckons you over. You indulge her. You join Finderarth and the two of you chat briefly. You people seem an alright sort. Some of them made sure I rest undisturbed and eat my fill every day ever since you've taken me in. I'm very grateful, Vagrus. You comment on how she seems to be getting better. I am, though it still hurts some. But yes, I'm definitely better now. She sips water from her earthenware mug. That is some ritzy drinkware out in the waste. Listen, I wanted to talk to you. Is this a good time? Tell her you're listening. While I was recovering, I was thinking about the ambush. Nobody had any interest in sabotaging us unless it's the Imperials and they felt it would give the Dragonlands an edge. The assassins were indistinct but well equipped, probably freelancers, trying to disguise it as an outlawed attack. It would fit Imperial operations as far as I know, so she's blaming the Empire for the reason her comitatus got ambushed and her mentor was killed. I apologize if I seem to be rambling. I know I haven't talked about my mission, there's a good reason for it. But I have to trust you with some details if I want you to assist me. Long story short, the long story long. We were supposed to meet at a location and discuss a matter between the several dragon broods. Okay. Valid clans in her land. The reason for it not being in the Dragonlands is because the Black Brood is involved. She strokes her chin. She strokes her chin thoughtfully. Because the convocation's agenda concerns the Dragonlands and Dragmoloch. Who's this? Strange, isolated country. We'll just... Got it. I never considered that anyone would want to thwart it, but that may have been naive. If some power profits from hindering the cause of dragonkind, it's the Imperials, I suppose. She doesn't seem too convinced. That is why I think they must have somehow learned of this and set up the ambush. She chugs her water. All the intrigue is making my head hurt. Thanks for listening. Peace. We are headed to Arcane, lady. Did I pass it? Oh, I pass it all the time. No, we're waiting for the next road. Everything's all good. So, if I was concerned, which I'm beginning to get concerned about, food, we have 2 days left, which is not awesome, then I would step off the beaten path, which is, the road, and I would begin foraging. We could possibly die here. Not great, not great. No point in foraging, like I said. 166, we're gonna go to 100%. We're gonna keep a day of food, and hopefully... Hopefully that's enough. I think a day will be enough. Myself, we're gonna push it, obviously, but I think... One more rest, we're fine. We're well fed, we're a little fatigued. Slaves are compliant, boys are steady. So this is what this game kind of becomes, right? Is how many supplies do I bring? How much cargo do I take up with those supplies? I think it will matter less as we progress. I think, but then again, I've landed at cities in previous games and they've had no supplies. Instead, I've had to pay exorbitant amounts of money for animals. Chop them into food. We've already read our arcane description. We don't need to speak with Levantius. He's not headed anywhere we care about right now. We will immediately turn in all of our arcane quests and try and get rich here. If you're playing this game and you arrive at a town that you think you have quests at, check this tab right away. This flag up here. Because I have made the mistake of selling resources that were part of a quest and then have been unable to turn that quest in and lost extreme relation with that faction. So like, here's another thing, you know, also keep this active tab open. If it says give up, it's just because I'm not in the right destination, but I don't want to mistakenly sell this chitin because I need to deliver it to Torzags. That's one thing I've made the mistake of quite a few times, and it's really bit me. Having good relations with factions allows you to buy wholesale stacks of things at a discount price to trade in other districts, which is awesome. Okay, so we're looking for anything that's headed to Torzags right now, because that's where we're headed. Marble is headed Torzags. More marble is headed to Torzags. Great. And so we've got 3 for Torzags. We still have a lot of stuff. Now, Arkin spent 4.5. So we spent 4.5 on mushroom beer. Let's go see what we can sell this for. 8! Hot dang. We are out here trading. That's pretty sweet. That's a good profit off that. And what that's gonna allow us to do is kind of gradually expand our workforce, our fighter force, everything. We're gonna go to 4 scouts. We're gonna go to 11 workers. And again, I'm not sure if we're moving away from slaves or not. I think they're an integral part of this game. There's an entire resource category built around them, but maybe, like I was saying, if we can remove that resource category, maybe that'll be to our benefit. Maybe it'll be to our benefit. You know, it's one more reason that you can lose the game, right? They can rise up. Let's trade some news here. Receive 8 lurgs here, 8 changers. And let's buy some news. There's a jewelry shop somewhere in Devon. In the Shadow Bazaar, who sells rarities and curios. Okay, cool. So next time we make our way north to Devon, we know that there's a good potential we can grab ourselves some curios, some items, some rare items, maybe some pendants and stuff for our companions that'll give them bonuses in combat or just doing their jobs. And maybe we'll also be able to find some gems or gifts, things that we can give them to improve our relations. Okay, let's check the map. So we are in Arkin, and now we're headed to Torzags. That's our next stop. Lumen is just past Torzags. So we're in Arkin. What can we do here? We can go to Lumen, right? So I think Levantius wants to go to Lumen. We're going to tell him that the price is right. And he gave us +5 changers. Let's just make sure he's going to Lumen and I'm not just completely wrong. Levantius, yeah, he wants to head to Lumen. So what else can we take here? What else can we take in terms of faction offers that might take us to Lumen? Anything? Distribute for Loader's Guild to Lumen, right there. Boom. Cargo hold is still looking good. And the rest of these look a lot like combat. But honestly, not a big deal. Let's check if we've added any notes to Torzags or anything like that. Nothing to Torzags yet. We don't know what sells really well here. I'm in Arkin now, so maybe we can do Arkin to Torzags. This news is 16 days old, but let's see what sells for a lot here. Doesn't look like anything good. We're not going to worry about it. We're going to take our contracts. We're going to take our marble stacks. Where's all this stuff headed? Because I'm going to double up on these marble stacks, actually. Active. We have 40 chitin to Torzags. And we also have marble to Torzags. So let's just piggyback on this marble train, maybe. And see if this makes us any money. So marble right now here says we can buy it for 5.5. If we check the history and we go to Torzags and we go to raw materials and we go to marble, so it says we can sell it for 9.8, and here we can currently buy it for 1.7. So that is a huge profit. So a lot of the time you can piggyback on your merchant missions by picking up the whole stack. Boom. Now we do have a bit more money. I'm half tempted to buy another beast of burden and really push this to the limit. I think we're gonna have to, actually. We're kind of all in on this. I mostly need room for supplies. Okay, we have 4 days of supplies. We have 6 days of supplies. I think we can make it to Torzags and subsequently Lumen. No rumors, no passengers. Oh, we have workers looking for opportunity at Torzags. We'll take them. And we have a shipment of slaves to Lumen. We'll take them. Partially defended. We're gonna need to hire a new fighter. This is fine. This in my opinion is the most organic way to grow your comitatus. Like taking these missions, adding things as necessary. Don't try and jump the gun. And definitely don't explore and think until you think you've got a surplus. We're gonna rest in town. We're gonna grab 2 morale, 2 nutrition, and we're gonna pay the price for it. It's gonna cost us 1 brass, 9 lurgs, and 8 changers, but I think it's worth every penny. We're also gonna give our guys more food than they need to get them up to well nourished. We only have 4 days of food. We're gonna grab 1 more stack of food since we have the room. Okay, so let's look at what we're working with here. 6 brass, 5 lurgs, 6.5. 6.5 right now. Let's see how this ends up at Torzags, because we're not that far away. You know, this game really reminds me of an old Super Nintendo game called New Horizons Uncharted Waters. One of the things you could do in that game was trade to make yourself wealthy. It was one of the most enjoyable Super Nintendo games I've ever played. Okay, we're super fortunate so far. We haven't run into any crazy encounters. There's a lot of random encounters that'll really ruin your day. I should visit Valerius someday. Right now we're so broke that I don't even want to consider kind of getting off the beaten path, but the healthier you keep your comitatus, the further you're going to be able to move. You don't have to worry about stuff. You don't have to worry about food as much. That said, I am giving them more food than they need, but right now it's going to take their nutrition, for instance. It's going to keep their nutrition, but what it's going to do is bring their obedience up because we have slaves. And that's what we want. It's also going to bring paying today, you know, is going to bring up our morale. And we can take encourage actually as a leadership perk, which I might do right now. Boom. And I'd like to assign a deputy here. We want to assign Vinderarth as our spell weaver. So because I have 3 authority, I can assign 3 deputies. We're gonna need to get a Venatorus here, I think. A chief handler and a Venatorus as soon as possible. But it looks like we are ready to sleep. And then we'll be at our destination. Okay, again, if I fail this contraband hiding, we're just gonna load. It's so silly that they give you this dragon steel and then provide you zero opportunity to sell it. At least that I've found. I could bribe them, I guess, just to maybe guarantee it, but it's this high chance versus very high. We're just gonna smuggle it. It says success. And every time I just pay the gate tax right away. It's never more than a couple changers. Okay, so our first reward here, which is gonna bring us up to 5 brass from our 4 is, from our 4.5 is our passengers. Now we're gonna go turn in our tasks, our distribution tasks, our trading tasks up to 46 brass. And then we are going to, our marble is in demand here. We're gonna sell 64 marble. Wait a minute, hold on. What's our mission? What's our active mission? 16 marble. So we're not gonna sell 64. We're gonna leave 16. See, that's what I'm talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now we're at 91 brass. So from 4.5, we're back up to 91. I don't know if I recommend letting yourself get that low in case you get way late or have to take a detour and pay your guys, but again, you can defer pay. But that's best case scenario right there. Alchemist shop is somewhere in this somewhere in Torzag's shelter near Spider Street. Maybe we can go look for that. We're gonna expand some of that news and market district. Let's listen to some news. Spend some coin. What do we get? New Lumen news, new Torzag's news. Good. Might be able to trade for some of that. Civic District. I don't need to go to any of these just yet. Explore the city. Go for a stroll and see what you can find. Come across a bounty notice. It was posted by a group of merchants and sanctioned by the local district magistrate. Promises 2 brass for the head of a grifter called Maviro the Sly. 2 brass is not the fact that we just made 80, I think 84, 85 brass for not having to lose our workers. We're gonna stick with that. So I'm kind of looking for the alchemist. Here we are. True to hearsay, a small workshop is hidden away in one of the worst parts of the Undercity. Housed by a decrepit building that looks uninhabited from the outside. The alchemist shop occupies some rooms and the cellar of the compound. Smells are invading your nostrils as you enter. The spectacle of so many jars, hanging dried plants, and odd minerals is no less potent. The alchemist is a grumbling, ragged thing. You have difficulty telling if it's a very ugly old woman or a bent old man with greasy long hair. You refrain from asking. Besides, it is not interested in chatting, only in doing business. Buy something the alchemist is selling. You look around at the chaos of the shop, moving between clinking pieces of metal and foul-smelling weeds hanging from the cellar's crossbeams. bumping into amphorae and bowls of strange liquid. The alchemist, not looking up from the currently brewing concoction at the fireplace, keeps gruffly explaining whatever it is you are observing. Let's purchase a whole lot of medical supplies. Let's do it. Boop. Anything else you wanted? Let's purchase some alchemy tools. I think we're okay. Let's also get an antidote. Why not? We don't need poison, I don't think. Take your leave. Visit the pleasure houses. Do we think we're gonna find a companion here? It's many brothels and harlots. Most of them are slaves and belong to one of the collegia or another criminal organization. That means most of them are fairly clean and will not unexpectedly slit your throat. Yet one never knows in the Undercity. I bet you they have a great Tuesday afternoon buffet. Buy some of your crew a good time. Pay extra for quality. -8 changers. +1 morale, -2 movement, that's fine. That'll last for a while. I think we're good. Civic District. Visit the Dragon's Nest Inn. Its exterior is not much to look at. A hodgepodge of old buildings leaning together at the foot of a cave wall. A red dragon is painted above the entrance. Rooms are carved into the rock itself. The inside is much more impressive. The skeleton of a huge dragon provides the frame for the common room with its curling spine and many ribs serving as support for the ceiling and walls, while its immense skull was turned into a bar. The bartender gives out beverages and takes orders through the half-open jaws. The decoration is lavish but old, completed with paintings, a collection of silver goblets, vines that run along the dragon bone, and 2 fireplaces that provide a pleasant warmth. The rest of the establishment is beyond and above the common room carved into the rock. The clientele is quite colorful and lacks the usual local derelicts that most taverns of the world have. Instead, you can see wealthy merchants, Vagrus, foreign nobles, fastidious escort girls, emissaries, artists, mercenaries, and travelers of all sorts here. Several passengers are looking for a comitatus. Odd density of new faces. The nest tends to draw travelers, but ever since the earthquake a few weeks ago, a lot of people seem to be displaced in one way or another. Upon hearing that you're looking for passengers, a grim-looking man in dark armor walks up to you and introduces himself. He's a priest of Surgarod. The Church of Surgarod directed him to arrange his travel to a backwater town of Crystal in the west. He remains tight-lipped with the nature. Give me 2 lurgs now and 8 lurgs when he gets there. That's 1.6 brass, if I'm not mistaken, to take him to a very dangerous part of the world. And so we're not going to take him. I bet you I can pick him up at any point. Talk to the down-on-his-luck fellow. You vaguely recognize the gaunt man with a shock of gray hair and silvered cuirass. He was at Kernak when you passed through. Hailing him and seeing his haunted expression, you ask the fellow what the matter is. What the matter is? They died. All of them. He says, not even looking up from his cup. My comies. My comies. We tried to avoid the road tax, as you do, and took a little detour to the east. He now looks up into your eyes, his gaze hollow. Have you heard of the Hollow Crags, friend? Well, I have now. We barely entered its confines. But still, the bloody things were upon us like flies on shit. Nobody survived but me, but I can still see their eyes in my sleep. He wants to find a funeral for his friends. So, I think what we just got was a codex update for the Hollow Crags. Quality booze. Everybody's happier. Okay, so we're at Torzag's. Our plan is to head to Kurnak Way Station, but also Lumen. But right now it's gonna be, let's see what we've taken for quests. Lumen right now. Let's see if we can find some for Kurnak. We'll go to Kurnak, then we'll come back up through Torzag and go to Lumen. Lots of supply runs for Lumen. So we'll grab those on the way back. I'm not gonna take them now in case I can't make it happen. Now that we've got the money, we'll buy some standard armaments. It's gonna give our fighters a bonus, our scouts a bonus, and our outriders if we make them. Like if we decide to go with outriders. 20 vigilance while active, eh? Mazel. Let's get any bonus we can early on. Passengers, I don't think anybody's headed towards Kurnak. Rumors, nothing good. Beasts, we have enough. Let's buy a fresh horse, maybe. Let's make an outrider. Understaffed. Let's get a worker. Perfect. We're gonna try to focus more on workers than slaves. And enough on fighters that we can keep getting that buff every single night from camping. We're gonna rest here in town, spend a little bit of money, spend a couple brass. And now we make our way to Kurnak Station. You know, I made a mistake. I should have picked up a ton of stuff in Kurnak Station that matched the contracts we had, but I didn't because I'm a doofus. Sudden gales and on wind are no strangers to wanderers of the wasteland such as you, but even you have to admit that there's something different about these gusts. It's almost as if there were voices on the wind, barely audible, just beyond the threshold of perception. Whispers. People stop in their tracks to listen and frown in concentration. The whole experience is quite unnerving. You calm them, ordering everyone to focus and get a move on. The crew trudges on, trying not to think about it. Eventually the wind dies down. Interesting, interesting. This to me is the best way to travel. Stopping short and searching for supplies and stuff, it can definitely sustain you if you're in a pinch, but it's so difficult to rely on foraging or hunting. Maybe if you're more off the beaten path, but not if you're on the road. Kurnak, we already know this, sheltered by in an arid basin. This is our Pride Rock town. Find the guide. This is why Finderarth came here. Let's do it. You accompany Finderarth to the tavern where you're supposed to be waiting in the back room. Before entering, you come to the conclusion that a smaller group would be less likely to draw attention, and the Dragonkin mage asked for discretion. Most of the Comitatus is still striking camp. Only the two of you will enter. Can I bring anybody else? Absolutely not. Confirm. You and the envoy. Oh, let's take a peek. This guy looks shady. You and the envoy enter the smoke-filled common room where all kinds of travelers crowd together to relax. Mugs are raised in toast, and patrons roar in laughter at the recitation of nasty jokes or bawdy songs as you sit down at a more remote table out of view. Alright, it seems the guide left a message that he is waiting for me in the back room, Finderarth confides as she returns from a short trip to the bar, harried by the inappropriate gazes of men. She does not seem to mind, or else does not notice. Instead, she is eyeing the mug of mushroom ale she bought to look casual, suspiciously, then looks up and adds, "The bartender told me." There's no time to waste, so she rises and go meet the man right away. She goes to the meeting alone. Okay. This was not the plan. Finderarth disappears into a side corridor guarded by a bouncer. You ready yourself for a long wait, as such negotiations tend to get drawn out for hours. But you are soon jerked out of your reverie by a mild tremor, followed by a ferocious thunderclap. It came from the corridor that Finderarth walked down. There's another thunderclap, and some yelling muffled by the distance. Finderarth appears from the corridor, and the bruiser steps back instinctively. Her expression, a mask of anger, would be alone be enough to intimidate anyone. But the envoy also crackles with small sparks of lightning and bleeds profusely from a shoulder wound. The blood would be off-putting. Finderarth pushes past the bouncer, and as the commotion in the room escalates, you reach her just by the bar. "There was an assassin waiting for me," she blurts out and leans on you for support. "I scorched the bastard, but not quick enough." She laughs out loud, almost maniacally. "I can't believe it. I survived another attempt on my life. The guide was not that lucky, though. He must have been murdered when the killer saw me arrive, but that means they've been waiting for us. Why?" The barman is yelling at you to take whatever this feud is outside. Finderarth gained loyalty. Fantastic. A group of men is blocking your way, leering nastily. These men are armed to the teeth, and their gear looks equally cruel. Their leader steps forward with raised palms to signal that he means no harm. He's fairly unimpressive, skinny and old with a bald head. He smiles awkwardly. "Apologies for holding you up like this, Vagrus, but you see, we have a proposition to put to you," the man says in a dangerously kind tone. "And I can't exactly let you leave without hearing it. My employers, you see, wish to have a little chat with your companion here," nods towards Finderarth. "Why involve yourself in such a complicated and dangerous matter?" Finderarth butts in. "Are we talking about the matter that involves the murder of diplomatic envoys?" "I'm talking to the Vagrus here, but rest assured your turn will come too," the man says with a little edge in his voice. "Look, we don't want any trouble, but we are more than capable of causing a lot of it, but why escalate things further? You're a reasonable man, and so are we. This matter doesn't concern you. Hand her over and you'll never see us again. Tell the mercenaries that there is no deal." "Zero deal. I don't gain anything here." "You gain more loyalty." "I see." The mercenary leader frowns and steps away. "Then you leave us no choice." As his henchmen start to advance on you, a thunderclap rumbles and washes over you all. Finderarth has been preparing. The envoy lets loose a sizable lightning strike upon her enemies, and the deafening crackling is soon contaminated by the pained cries of mercenaries. When it's finally over, only 3 mercenaries still stand, the leader and the 2 badly scorched goons. The latter 2 now move against you with weapons drawn, while the skinny man backs off. The mercenaries are upon you in an instant. Oh boy, we really should have brought more help. I am not extremely useful in this. This could be the end. Okay. We have chain lightning, which won't do. Electrify, which can definitely hurt him. Fly, okay. Force shield. Let's force shield ourselves. Ugh. I don't know if the force shield helped that much. But now we can use chain lightning. Okay. I don't... Yeah. Mercenaries manage to subdue you and Finderath. She yells in protest and keeps struggling a little, but soon, with the cloth bag over it, she's dragged away. You deserve to be punished for this impertinence, but I never had a quarrel with you. One of the mercs punches you in the jaw, knocking you on your ass. The mercenaries leave with their prize. The Comies arrive a little later, but it's already too late. They mounted their fast Ifriani and headed out into the wasteland. Even if you had outriders to follow them, there is no end to the ravines and valleys they could have disappeared into, and besides, they have too much of a head start. It's clear that Finderath is gone for good. And that is something your crew laments for a while. That's unfortunate. She is a good sorceress, so that sucks. Well then, let's turn in this and see if we can find some for Lumen or Tor's eggs. Nothing. And we'll sell this stuff here, is that right? Or is that from a quest? Active. Nope, we need to keep that marble. Let's exchange this trade news. So that sucks, we just lost a teammate. They're turning everybody back. So we just actually got a map location revealed, which is just south of Kernak Way Station. We might head down that way. I'm just concerned about the availability of supplies. So we'll take some... Wait, how long do we have to do this? Does it say? It doesn't say. We'll take some travelers that were turned back from trying to travel south through the Twin Towers. And maybe we'll actually just supply here a little bit and head to the Twin Towers to our south. Stores, medical supplies. Any equipment? I don't see any equipment that we can really use here. No crazy faction offers, no rumors. We've picked up the passengers that we can think of taking that makes sense. Other than that, the guarded compound, we can eat, drink, and chat. Let's ask about the wind and the dreams like the last time we were here. A young but uncharacteristically talkative Asculite novice has a sizable audience gathered around him as he relates what he has gathered on the topic of the winds that have gone mad. It all started weeks ago with that earthquake. People say that the epicenter was somewhere southwest of here. Since then, the wind is changed. Almost everyone here has had a bad dream or heard strange voices in the wind. The further southwest one goes, the more intense it gets. Many of his audience complain about headaches they get ever since they have heard the voices. There is hushed talk of travelers going insane and their brains literally burning to a crisp, though such talk is difficult to believe. Alright, let's ask if there's some available work here. Nope. Okay, great. Do something else. Leave the compound. Check one more time for passengers. Nobody else is headed to Torzags. We can't take any missions to Torzags. We've bought this place out of supplies. I think we head south. Wait, let's go back in. Let's rest and then head south. You know what? Let's not rest in town. Let's get out of here. So it would have been pertinent to rest in town if we got a bigger bonus, but we don't. We get a better bonus actually from sleeping outside on the road. So we're going to use up all of our movement and then sleep. The Emperor's Road meanders. toward the horizon lazily, and for the last handful of hours you've not been roused from your reverie. I take a lot of time for reverie. But then you spy a gathering of travelers ahead, just off the road. The wind carries the noise of a loud argument, and your crew is already getting anxious. Getting closer to the commotion, it becomes evident that there are several comitati encamped in close proximity. But whether or not it is related to the ruckus, you cannot say. Some people have taken up threatening postures, weapons drawn, and they have surrounded what looks like a huge, corpulent undead in an apron who is waving his hands apologetically with a nervous grin on his grim visage. Halt the comitatus and see what this is about. You leave the comitatus on the road and approach the center of the commotion. The undead fellow, who seems to be a chef, is being accosted by a half-dozen warriors belonging to a group of Tarkian travelers. They are clad in black, their loose desert attire adorned by half-moon symbols, and they hold curved swords forged from bronze and iron. It's a religious debate. One bystander lets you in on the whole matter, even though you did not ask. We should set fire to it. That'll teach it not to blaspheme against the Lord of the Night, one of the warriors says. Hey, 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 the undead fellow exclaims with a chuckle. Trying to downplay the emergent danger. I only said that my cooking is so good that even the gods would eat it up. Blasphemer! Another warrior shouts angrily. Throw him down a well, a bystander exclaims. Her altogether different religious conviction must have been offended as well. People, the undead man seems distraught as the warriors close in on him. I'm getting Beetlejuice vibes. You all ate the meal I cooked for you last night and seem to love it. Let's cut this out, eh, and go our separate ways. No reason to get worked up for silly reasons now, is there? Wait a minute. We ate cat? The groans from the crowd tell you that the large fellow keeps digging his grave, and the threat to his unlife does indeed seem more and more real by the second. Is there nobody here with a measure of sense? His gaze is darting around to find anybody who would be willing to back him up. We'll help him. Garrick and Rinkelon lost loyalty. What do they gain loyalty for? Anything? Anything at all, except being a jerk? You clear your throat loudly and announce that there will be no lynching today. At first there is silence. The Tarkian warriors are unable to comprehend how you would be able to decide that, but then one of the other bystanders speaks loud and clear. The Vagrus speaks truly. Leave the cook alone. Are you so thin-skinned that you can't take a joke? An older tainted fellow butts in. So tainted must mean changed in some way that you are not a normal human. We haven't been able to click on tainted yet to get that description, but that's what I'm getting. I said we'd talk about it earlier on, and kind of based contextually the way that people are talking, I think being tainted means you are undead, you're a monster, something's wrong with you. The Tarkian eyes the crowd. They're no fools. They can sense a shift in the mood and eventually back off. Oh boy, for a moment there I thought I was a goner, the huge undead fellow tells you. Although who am I kidding? I've been a goner for 2 centuries now. He bursts out laughing loudly at his own joke. Relax. Sorry, I couldn't resist, but thanks for saving my ass. Blah, blah, blah. He's wearing a sturdy leather apron over some worn clothes and old bandages. There's ample rotten flesh on his huge bones, but its texture is rubbery, and the stench is not as bad as you had thought. Name's Vorax. Are you in the business of hiring a quartermaster? Sure. We're just gonna hire him. We're not gonna get to know him. Vorax looks astonished, then he bursts out laughing, skipping from one huge foot to the other. Thank you, my friend. I was fed up traveling alone. You won't regret it, I promise you. I'll make myself useful. Hey, boss, talk to me when we strike camp, eh? We can talk about how I can be more useful to the gang. Comitatus. Trudges on. Okay, we're coming up to 2.5 hours. We are gonna push our luck here. We're gonna head down towards the Twin Towers kind of mountain pass. See what we can find there. That's about where we're gonna end it. So thanks everybody for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed this little kind of, it was a bit fast. I know it was a bit fast, but because this is all kind of very beginning stuff, like early on it was a bit fast because it's if you've played the game, you've probably read through it. You know what's coming. So I tried to zoom through a lot of that, and then we began really diving into the descriptions and, you know, these big walls of text, and I hope that worked for everybody. Anyways, I really enjoy this game. I can't wait to keep playing it. So if you've got any comments, suggestions, you're catching this later or you watched it, let me know what you thought, and let me know maybe what kind of direction you'd like to see me take the Comitatus, the Caravan. More evil, more good, whatever. More slaves, 0 slaves. Let me know, but we're gonna save it here. And thanks everybody for hanging out. I look forward to seeing everybody back. Marcus Farba. I forgot I named him Farba. Anyways, take care. Have a good night.